Color?
Which supposedly those EC-130s are now fitted with lethal lasers.
Bro, what happened? Are the batteries dying in this maybe? Oh. I'm just not going to touch it. I heard that, bro. I'm pretty sure they heard that.
Nope.
I'm leaving it. That goes in the edit.
Perfect.
Perfect.
I told him, dude. I was like, bro, y'all don't even know.
All right. I can't talk yet. I'm going to wait till finish these now. Or you can stop or something. Okay.
Welcome back to 307 Reacts.
I had gummies in my mouth. Couldn't talk.
So, if you guys are new here, we are a reaction channel that does pause.
That's right.
It's more of like a podcast format, if you will. We are Jabberjaws galore.
If you're from Wyoming, it's absolutely a podcast because that's what everybody knows it as. Nobody here knows what a reaction channel is. So when I tell everybody I have a reaction channel, they're like, "Oh, is that a podcast?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then they look at it and they're like, "Oh, you got a whole bunch of episodes." And I'm like, "Yep." Start catching up. So I'm Matt. That's Chris.
Which, speaking of, we're coming close to 1,000 total videos on YouTube.
Just in these alone, we're at almost 900, I think, or something like that. Or 800, just past 800. So we're getting there.
Creeping up,
what are we gonna do for 1,000 videos? What are we gonna do for episode 1,000?
Probably go to work and come in like we always do.
Yeah, and we're gonna forget because we're not gonna know 7 episodes prior.
I'm all
6
gonna
episodes.
look. I'm like, oh fuck, dude, we're at like 1,015.
I'll be going to do the title and I'll be like episode 1,000. Oh, this is episode 1. Let's see, what is it? Special ways to light a Christmas tree or some. I have no idea, but yeah, it'll be some random thing. That's fine. We'll get there when we get there, right? Okay. What do we have on the screen today, Chris? What's going on here?
Today is 5 reasons why you shouldn't mess with America.
And now, if you don't know about how things are working over here, we have a video where we posted, I think, on Thanksgiving Day. Yeah. We had a video that was could the U.S. Survive an invasion, like a homeland invasion? Yeah. Super interesting stuff. I know we probably learned a lot of this stuff in school, but you forget things, and I didn't really pay attention in the first place. So I learned a lot in that video, and that's why we're kind of continuing with this sort of series of stuff.
Yeah, kind of like history and
educational
educational, like current events type.
Yeah.
I don't know if current events would be the word.
I like that. I just kind of like learning about like the world's positions and kind of where things are at and how things are kind of handled, and we're learning a lot about militaries and governments and just kind of how things work and why certain things happen and why certain things don't happen, and like why China's able to make artificial islands to import and export illegal goods and nobody touches them. I mean, that's and why nobody comes over to the U.S. to try and take a seaport.
I've always everybody, and this is one of the best examples I can come up with on the spot here, but like everybody wants to be upset and look at slavery itself, but like why aren't we necessarily focusing on why, like how did we get there? Why did it happen? Why was it abolished? Like what the reasons behind things, I think, is what's missing a lot in history. And so I kind of like some of these videos. Why shouldn't people mess with the USA? Well, we're about to find out. It's a reason that
one of the
don't get
big eye openers from the last one was like, it kind of opened my eyes to major seaports. I'm landlocked, and we're landlocked in Wyoming. I never think about the ocean. It's not a part of my thought process. But to think that there's these massive seaports that have railroad access and cargo access and crane access and big ship access and deep ports and stuff, that's a pretty important thing to be taking over. So like, you got to protect that shit. Yeah. We just learned a lot, and so we're just going to kind of expand on that a little bit. And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. If you're along for the ride, hit that like button and leave us a comment and let us know if you want to see more of it. I have indigestion, so I'm trying to get through this intro so we can get started. You ready? Yeah. Let's go.
The collapse of the Soviet Union in the early 90s left the United States as the
Pause, hang on. All right, let's go.
Sole superpower in the world, and it's never looked back. In all aspects of the world, the United States is indeed a superpower, especially when it comes to its military might, which is unsurpassable in its strength, technological superiority, operational capabilities, and power projection across the globe. In this video, we'll take a look at the 5 top reasons why you wouldn't want to go against the US military establishment. The United States Air Force is the strongest in the world, not only in the number of operational aircraft, but also in technological superiority.
Oh.
The country currently operates a total of over 15,000 military aircraft, combining all the branches of the military service, including the US Navy, US Army, Coast Guard, and the US Marines.
That's a lot.
As of 2017, the US Air Force alone has a fleet of over 5,300 aircraft, 406 intercontinental ballistic missiles, and 170 military satellites, greater than any other country in the world. The USA has the largest number of stealth aircraft designed to be silent killers and untrackable by the radar defense systems of most countries in the world. Some of these stealth aircraft include air superiority fighters, such as the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter, heavy bombers, such as the B-2 Spirit. In fact, the United States pioneered this technology in the 1980s with the introduction of the F-117 Nighthawk stealth attack aircraft.
Okay.
Stealth aircraft are designed to avoid detection using a variety of technologies.
Dude,
By the way, let me say, okay, let me back up to this.
yeah,
Stealth aircraft.
okay, all right, okay. Go ahead, say what you got to say. That's that's a UFO. Just saying. That's what?
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So they had some like smaller versions of these. I don't know exactly what they were, but they were stealth aircraft that they were doing training out of at the Casper Airport. And me and Kenna, I stayed the night at Kenna's house. We were coming into town, and I get like a glimpse of one. I'm like, what the? It just disappeared, right? So I was like, cool. So I'm going to the airport. She's like, where are we going? We're going to the airport, and then we're going to get breakfast. Okay, you just calm down. I got to see this. So when they would make a slow, low pass, you could see them. When they get up to a certain speed, you get a tiny glimpse, and then it's like gone, dude. It's weird. So like you can see it with your eyes. Like you can see this thin black thing.
Yeah.
When you take your camera out, whether it's tilted all the way on its side or not, for whatever reason, my camera will not pick it up.
It's
It
got
is
some
so
weird
wild.
radar force field thing around it.
Dude.
I have no idea. This technology is so beyond me. The fact that this thing
It's just going to refuel in flight.
Well, and like, where are the engines? I understand they're obviously built into the top of the aircraft there, but like, this is so unordinary from a regular like plane that we're used to, where it's got big turbines on either side, and it's these big wings, and big long cylindrical a body of the thing, and like, this is just like it looks like almost a boomerang, man. It's just like a little triangle that just
It's like my dad was talking about with like your attack angle and stuff. Jets don't necessarily require an aggressive attack angle on the wings.
That's right.
Because jets literally fly on propulsion. That's it.
They
it's
fly
just,
so fast that the air pressure just holds you
it's
up.
It's literally like think about this. Why do rockets not have wings?
Because they just go a billion miles an hour.
That's it.
Straight
There's
forward.
just so much thrust.
Yeah.
That's how jets work.
They
Like,
really
the
just
only
need,
reason the
rockets
wings
really just
are
need
even
something at
there.
the back to keep it straight, and that's why
Yeah.
they have little tail pieces on them. That
The
makes sense.
only reason that these have wings is so they can direct this missile.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all a fighter jet is. It's just a missile with wings.
That is the technology is nuts. And by the way, these statistics that he's rambling off with the interballistic missiles and all that, those are the numbers that we know of, that we're aware of, right? Like,
Yeah.
I would imagine there's probably a certain sect
There's
of
at
the
least
military
10 times more.
that knows a little bit more about that information, and probably isn't giving us the correct numbers for that, because I would imagine they probably don't want everybody to know how much they actually have.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the game, right?
That is part of the game.
You don't really want everyone to know what you have, but
It's we're just going to go ahead and show that we have two aces
I'm
on
going
the
to show
table.
my hand a little bit. I'm just going to show this, and then everyone just back off, because I got more.
It's a good-looking hand.
Yeah, it's a good hand, yeah.
Craft are designed to avoid detection using a variety of technologies that reduce radar reflection from ground, sea, or air-based radar antennas, thereby reducing its radar cross-section, or RCS. This revolutionary technology allows a fifth-generation aircraft, such as the F-22 Raptor, with a max takeoff weight of 83,500 pounds, to have a radar cross-section of just 0.0001 meters squared, about the size of a bumblebee. What's more insane is that the massive B-2 bomber also has the same radar cross-section as the F-22 Raptor. Thus, it becomes extremely difficult to track stealth aircraft. Even if the enemy spots them on their radar scopes, it's a whole other story to successfully track them and register a missile kill. The whole idea behind this technology is to break the chain in which a conventional surface-to-air missile defense system works. It's the same reason countries like China and Russia are also hard at developing their own stealth fighter, the Chengdu J-20 and the Sukhoi Su-57, respectively. These aircraft will allow the US Air Force to assert its air superiority over any battlefield of the future. And we all know that control of these skies is the biggest decider in any war. The next reason why any country going to war with the US military should think twice is
Yo, there are guys out there that are just sitting in those driver's seats of those things, just going a trillion miles an hour.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool. That's my job.
You know what's scary?
What the fuck?
Most of them are probably 20 years old.
Yeah, that's...
Like,
There are young dudes just getting in this multi-billion-dollar crazy stealth fighter jet, just like, and you're clear for takeoff. And they're just handling it like, oh, we're going to thrusters here. We're going to do a disengage the Q sector in the quadrant number. Dude, oh, wow.
Oh, God.
I live a very simple, easy life compared to some people. And those guys are definitely them. Like, holy moly. We're talking about all the technology and how they work and everything. And I feel like we just need to take a second and respect the fact that there's a dude sitting in that pilot seat and making that, and probably a couple, I don't know, maybe. But I know in those single seaters, there's one dude in there doing the whole thing.
This shit's crazy,
Dude, those little like F-14s, I guess they're on an F-22 now.
Yeah.
Last one I knew was an F-14. That was way back in the day. But you're right. It's just a rocket on the back of this thing. And it just go... pull, try and pull. And then try and push,
He's all sitting there. It's like, hey, remember, you're in an area where you can't break the sound barrier, so make sure you slow it down.
That's the thing, too. Like, I said it in that last episode, or one of the episodes. These guys are literally flying faster than the speed of sound in these things.
Yeah.
I think they did it on Mythbusters. I'm pretty sure they had like a fighter jet fly by and broke the speed of, and it's like a giant thunder.
Sometimes at the air show out here, they'll break the sound barrier, but legally you can break it, just not in city limits. So what they'll do
louder than fuck.
is they'll break it 5 miles out,
and you can still hear it
as it flies by. You. Boom! And you hear it like catch up.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Dude, that's what happened in Mythbusters. It flew over the top and it was all like, oh, dude.
Yeah, shit's crazy.
So cool. I would love to experience that. Next time they do an
air show.
We should go check that out for sure. I've never been to one out there.
Dude,
so
it's fun.
I'm down.
Really
let's go
fun.
check it out. All right, let's go. Just had to stop for that. That was crazy.
Country going to war with the US military should think twice is because of the strength of the US Navy and its dominance.
I like
over
the ocean
world's
stuff.
ocean,
I think it's
especially the Navy's supercarriers.
What?
The US Navy currently operates 11 nuclear-powered Nimitz-class supercarriers, which is the largest aircraft carrier fleet in the world. The only Navy that can come close in terms of technological advancement is probably the Royal Navy of the United Kingdom, but they only have 2 operational carriers. The Nimitz class of carriers has a displacement of over 100,000 tons and can carry a complement of up to 70 aircraft.
Holy
They're literally
crap,
a floating
dude.
small town in the ocean with its own airport. The Nimitz class carriers in themselves are extremely potent offensive weapons, but the way they operate in what is called the carrier strike groups makes these ships even more deadly. A carrier seldom deploys alone. There are always a fleet of surface and underwater assets surrounding them and forming a strike group. These include guided missile cruisers, a destroyer squadron, attack submarines, and other support vessels. Together, they project the power of the carrier and at the center of the group forward towards the enemy.
Dude, and that's the sketchy one right there.
The power of the carrier and
shit.
The little guys.
Or submarines, the guys that are like, yeah, you can see us now, but give me a second.
Right.
Later. We're just coming in from underneath.
Man.
The setup for that is just nuts, dude. Like, Yeah, okay. You not only do you have 1 or 2 or 3 of these ships carrying 70 jets on them, 70 fighter jets on them. So
that's just the jets.
That's
and
what I
then
mean.
They have like 3 or 4 helicopters.
Yeah, they got helicopters surrounding them. They have destroyers next to them that just have giant gun barrels on their ships. They got attack units and all sorts of different land squads. And
a lot of times they'll have deployable boats that come out the bottom of the fucking thing.
Yeah, like
right?
the big Navy SEAL S9 boats or whatever those things are. Yeah, just up on the land we go.
Dude.
Like, dude, that is the setup where it shows all of them next to each other. Like, dude.
And what's crazy is this is the strike group for one.
For one of them.
And we have 11. My God.
At the center of the group forward towards the enemy. While the carrier is carrying out its offensive role with the use of its air wing, the other ships are responsible to protect its flanks against any enemy attack. This combination of offensive and defensive strategy makes the US carrier strike group almost impenetrable. The United States Navy maintains 9 such carrier strike groups, 8 of which are based in the United States and 1 that's forward deployed to Japan. For over 50 years, this has been the principal element of US power protection, and the Nimitz class of supercarriers are at the center of it all. Despite this, the US is currently in the process of developing a new class of carriers called the Gerald R. Ford class, intended to replace the Nimitz class ships. This new supercarrier will be even more technologically advanced and is expected to continue US dominance of the oceans well into the late 21st century. The third reason why you shouldn't fight the US military is their massive stockpile of nuclear and conventional intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs. The ICBM plays the role of the land leg in the US nuclear triad, along with the Trident submarine-launched ballistic missile, SLBM, and nuclear warheads carried on long-range strategic bombers.
Did he just say there's submarines that can shoot missiles out the tops of them? Mm-hmm. Don't mind me. Just underwater volcano with a missile coming out of the top of it. And then they can just send over other carriers that just have nukes attached to them and just...
Yep. So you know what's wild to me? They were talking about how they have intercontinental ballistic missiles. Mm-hmm. Those literally leave Earth's atmosphere and then come back in. So there was a story of a fighter pilot in the early 90s. I want to say it was like 94, 93, 94. And there was a missile being launched, and something happened. Either it was like an enemy missile, or it was like they were doing a test and something didn't go right. And they sent a fighter pilot up in an F-16, and he got as close as he could to leaving Earth's atmosphere. And they said, okay, you're going to shoot in 3, 2, 1, boom, sends a missile off. This dude shot a missile into space and intercepted that ballistic missile in space. What?
Like I said, I live a very easy, simple life compared to some people.
Imagine being that guy.
That's what I mean.
Like, bro,
that guy got in a
I
jet
miss...
that day and was like, I'm going as far as you can go up into the sky, and then I'm going to try and shoot a missile out of the sky with another missile.
God.
And then I'm going to come back down to Earth and just
go get a burger.
I'm just going to fall asleep that night and just, like everybody else, put my pants on and do the thing, you know?
Dude, these guys are crazy.
Some of that shit that I'm like... I'm glad there's dudes out there that have taken the time to learn those skills and can do that shit, because... that is a very important job, and is one of the reasons we feel so protected, and we are so protected over here, is because we have badass dudes like that are like, I fly a fighter jet and just blow up missiles with missiles.
Yeah,
it's whatever,
in
dude.
Space.
It's pretty cool.
Don't mind me.
It's pretty cool. Pays good. Yeah. Pretty dope job. Let's go.
ICBMs are launched from ground-based missile silos, achieving high suborbital spaceflight, approximately 1,000 miles above the surface of the Earth. The body of the missile then separates from the warhead, which re-enters the atmosphere and free falls to the assigned target at hypersonic speeds. The US military currently operates 400 ICBMs from its base in Wyoming, Montana, and North Dakota. The LGM-30G Minuteman III is the only type of ICBM that is currently operational in the US. The Minuteman III family of ICBMs were first developed in the 1960s as a response to the Soviet nuclear threat. Throughout the Cold War and beyond, these missiles have undergone constant modernization. In the last decade alone, the US military has undertaken $7 billion worth of upgrades. The rocket propulsion engines, the propellants used, the guidance system, and even the flight control surfaces have all been refurbished. The upgraded missiles are completely different from its 1960s counterparts, except for the shell. These state-of-the-art improvements and modernization programs have kept the Minuteman III system operational for over 50 years, with improved reliability that supports the missile's remarkable 99% alert rate. The latest versions of the missiles have a range of over 8,000 miles, which is greater than the diameter of the Earth at 7,917.5 miles.
Jeez.
They can carry multiple 330 kiloton nuclear warheads, which is 20 times greater than the bombs dropped on Hiroshima.
Oh my
and
God.
Nagasaki.
You know,
Oh my God.
Let me back this up one more time, okay?
1,000 miles, which is greater than the diameter of the Earth at 7,917.5 miles.
So you could literally
Bomb
be
yourself.
like, hey, I want this missile to hit 90 miles that way. Okay, cool. We're going to send it this way. And
all the way around the Earth.
Oh my God.
And then it'll hit right over there. And you can see it. Yeah.
That shit is
So
wild.
you can watch it, leave the sunset that
opposite
way,
direction.
and then just turn around however long later, and here it comes around the other
I
side.
wonder how long it would take.
I don't know.
7,900 miles.
They travel fast, so I don't know. I have no idea.
That is crazy.
I wonder if they've ever tested. I mean, they have to test
crazy.
it to figure out how far they go, right? I don't know, man.
I don't know,
Military's
man.
crazy, government's crazy. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing out there, dude. They got some crazy missiles. I know that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
They can carry multiple 330 kiloton nuclear warheads, which is 20 times greater than the bombs dropped on Hiroshima.
And then carry
Nagasaki.
multiples of those, dude.
Not only that, each of these warheads can be assigned to different targets independently. The technology is called Multiple Independently Targetable Re-Entry Vehicle, or MIRV, and was first developed for the Minuteman III family of missiles. So any country messing with the United States will have to deal with this awesome arsenal of firepower, which can be launched at a moment's notice. If it weren't the ICBMs or the stealth fighters raining fire down on you, it would be precision-guided munitions, or better known as smart bombs or PGMs instead.
Damn.
This is another big reason why not messing with the US military is a good idea. All branches of the US military use smart bombs in some forms or the other. These weapon systems are designed to be precise and hit a specific target with maximum efficiency. These bombs are so effective that during the First Gulf War, PGMs comprised only 9% of weapons fired, but accounted for 75% of all successful hits. Since then, for the US military at least, the days of normal artillery shells and unguided bombs are long gone. Nowadays, the military uses PGMs from air, ground, and sea. Precision-guided munitions come in various forms and use different kinds of technologies to achieve precise hits. A large majority of PGMs use the Global Positioning System, or GPS, of satellites to guide their trajectory to target. However, sometimes this becomes a problem, as GPS coverage is not always reliably available everywhere across the globe, or bad weather conditions can hinder operations. Thus, the Office of Naval Research, the Naval Surface Warfare Center, and the Army Research Laboratory have all coordinated to develop the first ever artillery-fired smart munition that will not use GPS guidance. The project is known as Moving Target Artillery Round, or MTAR for short. The MTAR shell can be guided onto stationary as well as moving targets in both land and sea, using a combination of guidance technology. The best part is that these shells can be fired from the existing M777A2 155mm towed howitzer and the M109A7 Paladin Integrated Management self-propelled 155mm artillery systems already in use by the US military. The shells will also feature an extended range of 40 to 60 miles using rocket boosters to propel them. Once finished, it will afford the US military another potent weapon system that outclasses others around the world. Lastly, the fifth and final reason why you shouldn't fight the US military is drones. We're all familiar with what an unmanned aerial vehicle or drone is and what it's supposed to do. but in recent years, the usability of UAVs are steadily increasing to encompass all spheres of military operations, and the US military is the pioneering spirit behind it. At first, used only for surveillance missions, drones were quickly weaponized after the 9/11 attacks and have been extensively used by the US military in the war against terror as an offensive weapon platform. It's forecasted that over the next decades, the US is in line to purchase over 1,000 combat drones of various classifications.
Damn.
Some of them, like the Lockheed Martin RQ-170 Sentinel and the Boeing MQ-25 Stingray, are already in the final stages of development, and once finished, will provide the US military with state-of-the-art platforms capable of multi-role operations, ranging from attack missions to aerial refueling. Drone technology has reached such heights today that a single UAV can loiter miles above the surface of the Earth for hours, waiting for the target to show its head and sticking with impunity. This capability will allow all the services under the US military to reduce its dependency on manned platforms, thereby reducing the risks during future combat operations. These 5 weapon systems make the US military extremely dangerous for any adversary looking to get into a conflict with them. In a conventional warfare setting, it's almost impossible to beat the US military machine. That's why modern enemies of the United States are employing more and more asymmetric warfare strategies against the mighty US military. Despite that, the US military juggernaut is hands down the most powerful military complex in the world today, and probably will be for decades to come. That's all we have for you today, folks. Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you like the video and want to stay up to date on cool military stuff like this, then click the subscribe button and also click the notification bell.
See?
And you'll be
He
the
knows.
first to know the next time we release a video. Thanks for watching.
All right, I'm gonna leave that alone. Okay, I got nervous there because I thought it was like it looks like the Discovery logo. I was like, oh, dude, we're screwed.
No.
We might as well just shut it down now. We can't put this up. Yeah, that ties into the one that we released on Thanksgiving, where it's just like our budget is unbelievable, and we have access to technology that other countries just don't. It's just one of those things, and we spend a lot of money developing that technology.
You know what's really interesting to me? I noticed that the guy said that the U.S. was going to be purchasing drones. Who are we purchasing them from? Like, that's always been kind of a...
I wonder if maybe he is just talking about like purchasing. Like you got to buy the parts to build the drones, right? I don't know where you're buying the parts from, but like.
Well, he did talk about when they were talking about the missiles and stuff. It was so and so developed, or so and so made, or so and so developed.
Right.
And this one was specifically bought.
That's a good point.
Which is interesting. I'd be curious to know where they're buying those from, because it's almost like that. We were talking with Backwoods Logan on that live stream, and they seized a whole bunch of weapons, and like there's like U.S. sniper rifles in there. There's like U.S. weapons in there.
Like there's
how did those get there?
Yeah, like M4s and stuff in there that are like semi-automatic or fully automatic. Like that's a U.S. assault rifle. Like why?
How did you guys get that?
There's 100 of them on there.
Yeah, I live in the U.S. and I can't get one.
No shit.
Like,
how'd you get one?
How did some dude from Saudi Arabia end up with
what
one?
the hell?
What the hell? Yeah, man.
Interesting. I didn't catch that, but that is interesting.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to see where countries buy things from, and like.
Shout outs to Wyoming in the video and our Air Force down in Cheyenne.
Yep.
I think that's where they're all at, right?
They
placed it like over kind of by like almost Evanston on their map.
So there is, if you guys are ever traveling through, like you talked about in Montana. Montana is the easiest one to see if you're traveling. But you'll look out into a field, and there's just these little mounds. And those little mounds, underneath each one of those, is either a ballistic missile or nuclear missiles. I know they have both. We have at least one nuclear missile stored somewhere over the backside of Casper Mountain.
Oh, really?
They have a big fenced-off fucking thing, and there's always National Guard. That's all they do is guard.
That's right.
thing.
I think I've seen that. Yeah.
And
that's way back on the mountain. Yeah.
It's. I was on an adventure in high school, just
muddy mountain.
See how far it goes. But yeah, we have those. We have a couple outside of Cheyenne for sure. That's kind of the same thing. It's like
I've seen
bumps in the ground.
The ones outside of Cheyenne, I'm pretty sure have gates around them too. And I think it even says like U.S. military something or a property of U.S. military or something like
Yeah,
that. And it's just like a gate in a square of a field, and there's like nothing else, and you're like, what? Oh, it's because it's underground. Oh, I see.
And then it'll say, sometimes you'll see a sign that says patrolled by government aircraft or U.S. Air Force or something like.
Yep.
It's pretty crazy.
Our Air Force base is down in Cheyenne. We got a pretty decent sized Air Force base down there. So you get a lot of that kind of in and out travel around there.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that have come from Cheyenne and they'll fly over our mountains because I don't know how many of you have actually flown in a smaller airplane. I'm talking, like those fighter jets are pretty small. It's a single man.
It's a one seater, yeah.
Like my dad flies a little 2-seater, a little prop engine, whatever. Flying over the mountains is it's a different deal. Like when you can fly next to the mountain, everything's great. When you fly over that mountain, it's turbulent city.
Air pressure changes and shit. Yeah.
Oh my God, you can feel like every air pocket and like the wind will change directions and shit as it comes over the mountain.
That makes sense.
And so they'll have their pilots fly high over, and you'll watch them in the helicopters sometimes. You'll see them make a high pass over the mountain, and then they'll slowly get lower and lower and lower and lower. And then next thing you know, they're like fucking 10 feet above my house and shit.
Yeah.
Like
flying downtown. That makes a lot of sense. Because in like big planes and stuff, when you fly over, like from here to Vegas, from Denver to Vegas, you fly over the Sierra Nevada mountain range, and you're way above it. But they spend basically the entire first half of the flight just gaining altitude.
Yeah.
So you can make it over the gap without being too low. And even when you're up that high, it's still like that gap over the Sierra Nevadas you get a little turbulence in there.
And it's weird too, because on a bigger jet you have a larger surface area.
It's not as bad, right?
So if you think about it like water, when you're out on a tiny boat,
right,
you feel every wave, right?
Uh-huh.
But then in a bigger boat, you don't notice it. So like, they do a lot of training out here.
There's a reason they call them Airbuses.
Yeah.
It literally, I noticed last time, like, it kind of hit me. I've been on tons of planes, but last time I was really paying attention to shit, and they keep calling them all Airbuses. And sure as shit, middle of the night when you're flying in the clouds, everything's quiet, and they got the cabin lights dimmed down, and you're just chilling there, it doesn't feel like you're in an airplane.
No.
It feels like you're in a bus going down the highway.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, you get a little bumps, turbulence, and it's kind of like highway bumps. It just feels like highway bumps, and it sounds like a highway going past you. Does not, and then you look out the window and you're like,
I can't see the ground right now.
We're up there.
Yeah, man.
But yeah.
These informational, like, military stuff blow me away every time.
There's always something in these that I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And seeing that fleet, it's like, here's our 70 air fighters.
Yeah.
Then we've got just lines of destroyers and submarines and battleships and just all, dude.
Yeah.
How would you, like the guy said, it's like almost impenetrable. Like it's how do you beat that? And especially like the missiles on those destroyers, the cannons on those destroyers, there's got to have a couple mile range on them or something, like they can shoot from a long ways
Ridiculous.
away.
Yeah.
And if you've got 10 of those ships shooting at you at the same time, and each of them has 3 or 4 or 6 cannons on them, dude,
you're done.
You are fucked.
We call
Plus
that in the
submarines
game shredded.
sending underwater missiles at you too. So like you're done. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's so wild, dude.
Very informative. And again, there's no message here of us trying to say like, oh, well, don't fuck with us. We're better than everybody. It's just we're learning too. We're learning about this stuff. It's like how big is the military budget? We don't actually know. We're just regular people, so we know it's big. But like learning stuff like this gives us some insight too.
Like just on one type of missile, they spent $7 billion upgrading it.
Yep.
And that's one thing. And they're building more aircraft carriers.
They're building a better one, newer one.
Okay, so one missile costs $7 billion. How much are we spending on one aircraft carrier?
It's got to be unbelievable.
Like, it's got to be hundreds of billions.
Got to be unbelievable amounts of money.
That is why they're taxing us too much.
Okay,
that's the message of today's story.
They're taxing us too much, and I'm glad I'm in the job that I have, and I don't have to fly fighter jets into the atmosphere.
I do think that'd be fun.
It would be fun.
I would love to fly fighter jets just once.
That's a very important job, and I wouldn't. It's like being field goal kicker, and when there's 2 seconds left on the clock, right, and you got to make the field goal at the Super Bowl to win the game.
Oh
right?
God, the pressure.
You do it every day. You do it all the time. why is it so much different now? You know, because
Yeah.
the whole world's watching, right? So in the instance, I'm like, I just appreciate those guys for being out there and doing it because that's a lot. That's a big job. And
It is.
and we need, obviously, being the way the world is, everybody needs their protection. So I'm glad we have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for real.
That was amazing. 5 out of 5.
If you guys enjoyed today's video as much as we did, be sure to leave a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, click the bell, become part of the notification gang. We'll see y'all next time. Bow.
Dang, I meant to make a whole thing on one of these episodes about, oh no, 307 Reacts, we didn't see you guys last week or 2 weeks ago. Oh no, did you get shadow banned? No, I didn't see any of your content. We didn't have any content. We missed a week. We just took a vacation. There, I got it. Now everyone knows.